Tonight for dinner we are having shrimp stir fry with broccoli, bell peppers, and mushrooms. This comes together so fast. It's just a little bit of chopping. This would go great with carrots, onions, or any other vegetables you have in your fridge. So I've just started my rice in the rice cooker, and while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and start prepping my veggies. The first thing I'm going to do is get my broccoli cut up because I want to throw it in a bowl of salt water to get it washed. And although my broccoli is looking okay today, if your broccoli is ever if it's starting to look a little sad, you can just throw it in some really cold water for about 10 or 15 minutes and it will crisp right back up. And I like to cut my broccoli just down the stem and then kind of pull it apart. Keeps the leafy part a little together. Doesn't make quite as much of a mess. And then since we're doing stir fry with so many pieces, I like to get pretty small pieces of broccoli. I'm going to actually make all my vegetables about that same size. And that's all cut up. I'm going to just sprinkle some salt in here, quite a bit, maybe a tablespoon, and some cold water, and I'm going to let it sit for about 10 minutes. Next, I'm going to do my bell peppers. I really like to do a lot of color, and I like to use about 1.5 bell peppers to feed the two of us. So I'm going to use half of each of one of these, but you know, use what you have and use what you like. And then I'm just going to cut this into strips, and then I'm going to cut those strips in half because I want some smaller pieces. And because I'm not going to save this, I'm going to go ahead and use some of this too. And this one's quite a bit longer than the other one, so I'm going to cut this one into thirds. If they're a little small, it's okay. I just don't want them to be too big. I'm going to give these a quick rinse as well. And then the rest of these bell peppers I am going to save to make something else later in the week. The last veggie I'm prepping today is portobello mushrooms. I like to just peel the top off of these. And then I kind of just grab the stem and break it off. And then I just like to scrape the gills out. And I'm going to cut these into pieces about the same size. I'm just going to cut them into strips like this. And then turn that sideways and cut those strips into bite-sized pieces. And then the last part of this stir fry is just the protein. I've decided to use shrimp tonight, but I make this all the time with chicken. I've even made it with beef. You can make it with whatever protein you like. These shrimp are already peeled. They've just got the tail on, and I'm taking the tail off because I don't want to have to take it off while I'm eating it. And these are the jumbo shrimp. I like to use about a pound of shrimp. This should feed us for tonight, and we should have a little bit of leftovers with all the veggies and 1 pound of shrimp. All right, I'm going to give this a quick rinse, set this aside, and we'll make our sauce. There's a little bit left in here. It's just all stuck to the bottom. Oh. So I'm trying to get it off. I'm not just making noise just to make noise. For the stir-fry sauce, we're going to start with a little under half a cup of soy sauce. Sounds like a lot, but we've got a lot of food we've got to season with this. I'm going to do probably about maybe 3 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. And then we like it a little bit spicy, so I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of sriracha. And then for the dry spices, I tend to not measure these, so I'll just kind of show you what I do. That's about a teaspoon. I'm going to do a tiny bit more. About a teaspoon of onion powder. I'm going to do about 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And we really like white pepper. I inhaled the pepper. We really like white pepper, so I'm going to do about a teaspoon of white pepper. I normally add about a teaspoon of ground ginger, but I don't have a whole lot today. So I'm going to add some of this refrigerated minced ginger instead. I'm going to add about the same amount, about a teaspoon of MSG, and give that a stir. Normally I would add a little bit of oyster sauce, but I'm out, so I'm not adding any of that today, but it's okay. This will still be delicious. Now the sauce is done and ready to go. I'm actually going to use this cup measure for the rest of the cooking process. Once the sauce is all in the wok, I'm going to be just putting my spatula in here so I don't have to get another dish dirty for that. I'm going to rinse my broccoli. It's been sitting in salt water for about 15 minutes, so that is ready to go. I'm going to give that a couple good rinses and then get started on cooking everything. So my wok is heating up. I'm going to add some sesame oil. And if you don't like the flavor of sesame oil, you can definitely just use whatever oil you like. I have used olive oil plenty of times. I'm going to add in my rinsed broccoli. And I'm just going to add in a tiny little bit of my sauce to help with the cooking of that. Broccoli has cooked down all the way. I'm going to go ahead and take this out and just set it aside. And then straight into the same pot, I'm going to add my mushrooms. Cook down for about the same 5 or 6 minutes. My mushrooms are almost done. I like to add a quick sprinkle of white pepper on these. And then I'm going to let those sit for a couple more minutes and then put them in the same bowl that my cooked broccoli is in. Okay, these are coming out. I'm going to add a little bit more sesame oil to the wok. And throw in my last vegetable, my bell peppers. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of sauce to these. So our bell peppers are done. I'm going to add back in the rest of our vegetables. Give that a good mix, and then I'm going to throw in all of our shrimp. I'm going to pour in quite a bit of sauce now and give that a mix. Because these are jumbo shrimp, they're going to take a little bit longer to cook. So I'm going to let these sit for just about 2 minutes before I turn off the heat. My shrimp is about halfway cooked. I'm going to add in just a little bit more sauce. Give it one more mix and let this finish cooking. Our rice is done. Our stir fry is done. This looks and smells amazing. I'm going to go ahead and just plate it up. And that is our dinner.